most important part with non-duality, and it's the most hardest part, and this is a place in which I slip up, is being authentically yourself. I think I just disappeared out of screen then. Is being authentically yourself. And what I mean by that is in every moment being connected to who you truly are. Not forgetting who you are. Not being in the illusion of the sensory thinking world. So not believing that the imagination and the sensory perception are real, and that your freedom is found in that world. So being authentically yourself is staying in who you are. Yeah, this is somewhere where I can slip up when I'm socializing. I can get, it's a weird thing, I can get, maybe other people can relate to it, is I can get absorbed in other people's body minds. So I don't get really absorbed in this body mind, but I get absorbed in other people's body minds. And even though I still feel connected to who I am, there is an absorption into the external. Which is also illusory. So all other people, all other things are illusory. And I call that old habits and old conditions coming up. Like old seeking patterns coming up. That's what I call it for myself. And there's nothing that's more important than what you are, including the suffering and the feelings of other people. Maybe I'm saying this for the Lisa character. This is a Lisa character teaching. There's nothing that's more important. True compassion, true love is staying in yourself. Is staying as who you truly are, which is freedom. It's not pampering to somebody's ego in order for them to not experience pain. That's really hard. I find that really hard, you know, when there is something that I can do in order to soften their pain. But it's illusion. The greatest compassion is seeing them, seeing others as nothing, which is what they truly are, not a thing. So an example of where I get tangled is I can see people struggling in their story, and I know how to help them in their story. But I pay a price. to go in and do that. So if they're getting caught up in feeling rejected or abandoned or lonely, I can go in and help them understand it and help them release the emotion of it. And that can seemingly create more depth in them. And it's really beautiful. But for me, most of the time, that's not a true expression of nothing. Not all the time, like sometimes that can be. But often in order for me to do that, I have to go into a linear projection of them in time. You have to go into the belief in them in order to do that. And often people need to do that in the process to waking up, to see their illusions and to see their issues. They need to go into themselves. They need to be pointed back to the illusion of their mind. But from my perspective, it sort of drags me into a world that I don't believe in anymore. Yeah. The greatest gift when that illusion has been seen through that you can give is to stay in yourself, is not to compromise yourself. This is a true expression of love. But this might not be the most helpful thing for somebody on their awakening journey. And this is why I always try to encourage people to, go towards that which feels right. It's not like all teachings is right for everybody, or one teaching is right for everybody at that specific point in their life. Maybe the way I teach it's more appropriate when somebody's really worked out their karma. They've really worked out the delusion of their body, mind. And that's really okay to be a teacher which teaches that part. As a teacher, you don't have to teach everything. In a way, if you teach everything, you're kind of like, you're becoming a craftsman of all crafts rather than specifying and becoming excellent at one craft. The human mind, I notice, often likes to be black and white, including this human mind. It can sometimes be black and white as well, this and that. But it's like, this is the ultimate teaching, this is the ultimate teaching, or this is the only teaching. Because the mind, like if it was going to learn the piano, or if it was going to learn a different language, or if it was going to learn how to do something, it wants a particular path in order to follow, to feel safe in its endeavors. It doesn't want to waste its time following a path that doesn't teach it how to play all the notes on the piano. So having one particular path that fulfills all is attractive to the nature of thought. So say like with Buddhism, like I used to be a Buddhist, a practicing Buddhist, and I really loved it. But what I noticed in Buddhism is that the teachers were teaching from books and were teaching from past knowledge, but they weren't really teaching from their direct experience, which was totally okay and totally appropriate at that time. It's not a criticism of it, but there was also a longing for there to be a teaching that was coming from direct experience rather than from something they'd learned out of a book and they were interpreting from a book. But the great thing about Buddhism is because it's been around for so many years and it's been tried and tested, like these books and these paths, can be really beneficial. But it does tend to be, if you go to Buddhist organization, that the teachers are teaching from what they've learned, not really from their experience. In some ways, they teach from their experience, but they don't really know freedom themselves. So, but I can see from the way in which I teach, people could get easily lost if they don't really perceive what I'm doing, or teachers like me are doing. So there can be this confusion and this longing for an A to B, A to B to C to D. Do you remember you used to do those drawings when you were a kid, like 1, 2, and you'd follow the numbers and then it would make a picture? Yeah. Mmm. Juicy, juicy. Juicy, juicy. Another thing which I do, talking about myself today, which maybe some other people can relate to, is because I was a student of resonance. So a lot of what I did was I would resonate with teachers. So I would resonate with that emptiness and that spaciousness. So when they were talking about it, it wasn't just through the words, it was through the energy in which they spoke that I could hear it. Although I could see it, hear it, and have the resonance, even from written word. And so another thing in which I do is I resonate with the person that I'm speaking with. So if somebody is contracted or suffering, like I resonate with that. And this too is illusory. This too is going out too far into the external. So, you might hear like picking up people's emotions and feelings and people talking about that. And and that's something that is because what happened here is in the awakening, like my energy became so expanded. Like the only thing that's left is what's in front of me. So when someone's in front of me, like I'm totally resonating with them 100%. And so then it's like the whole energy becomes their energy. And that too is an illusion. That too is going into the the world rather than staying in the no-thingness. It's very subtle and hard to see these things. They're very, very subtle. And this goes, you don't really find, Nisargadatta or teachers teaching this part. This is really from my own experience. And so what I've come to realize lately is like really, like what I do is as a conscious practice when I'm with people is I put the attention into the I am, whereas when I'm by myself, I just let the attention go everywhere, which is nowhere. But to stop it going directly into the other people when I'm around them, I just go into the I am. I keep the attention in the I am. Even when they're telling the stories. So when they're telling their stories, it's sort of like you're listening, but not really listening. It might be dissatisfactory for the other person because I think in the past, it felt like I was really giving them everything. Whereas this is kind of like a cutting off. It's an illusion. Like you're not giving your whole soul away. And some people that are listening to this talk, they might not have had awakening, but they might experience this because, everybody is free. Everything is free. And then this illusion appears, but there might be parts in which you're more identified and less identified. And there might be a natural like expansion that's there, or when you were born, there might not have been so much of a sense of self. So then there was more energy of going out. Then you sort of like focused in on other people. It's all illusion though. All of it. All of it. Banner, banner, banner. Illusion, illusion. Yeah. It's really funky stuff then that can begin to happen when you go out, because you go out and you'll begin to become other people's emotions and other people's wants and desires. It's interesting, like if you, some people might know what I'm talking about, even if they haven't had an awakening. And you begin to become other people's emotions and their emotional responses. Like something I know that I've done in relationships is I act out what other people are feeling. So if they need to cry or to break down, I will do it for them. I don't go around saying this to people, even though I'm saying it on the internet now, but I generally don't speak about this stuff and don't recommend you to speak about it to people. Because you can slip into all types of fucked up dynamics if you start doing that. I am crying out your emotion now. Yes, especially don't tell your therapist that I've said this. And sometimes what I notice happens is that people are attracted to you sometimes because they know that you'll act out their emotion. But it's not a conscious thing. They're looking for a release. And so they're kind of looking for the external world to release an emotion because they can't internally release the emotion. But for those people on both sides, it's seeing the illusion of it both, of them both. So the one that needs to release emotion, you can maybe go and do body work, different types of therapies, Tai Chi, yoga to help release the emotions. But that's in the end illusion. What is true is this no thingness, this what is. Everything is illusory. The true freedom is what you are, which is this emptiness of what is. Nothing matters. Nothing else is. This is the altar to everything. This is the freedom of everything, this moment. The human suffering, from my perspective, always came from the attachment to time. And the belief that time will bring you freedom. Time can bring you pleasure and pain. Time can bring you change. But time can't bring you that true peace that you're looking for. It always has to be in yourself, which is here. So for those that are new to this subject, then we have to begin to question, who is the self? Who are you? Who are you? And what is it you truly want? You know, if you want to be loved, then you have to create somebody to be loved. If you want to be enlightened, then you have to create somebody to be enlightened. So this is why they say seeking is what creates illusion, because it's seeking to be something, to be a me that can be loved, to be a me that can be better than, to be me that can be richer than, to be a me that can be saving or a savior. To be a me to not want to see others suffering. You have to be a me to not want the world to be in disarray. You have to be a me to want others to be free. So who are you now? Who is it that's looking out of the eyes? Who is it that's hearing me speak? Who is it that's apparently sitting there listening to a talk? If you give up all mental imagery and sensory perception, who's there? Nobody is there. Nobody. Nobody is there. Mm. Yeah, so I didn't think there would be any questions, so I thought I could do some quotes from Nisargadatta's I Am That. Let's see if there's any questions in the Telegram group. I doubt it.